There are a lot of things I know nothing about. I don't know why the sky is blue. I don't know why Santa Claus became the face of Christmas. And for most of my life, I knew nothing about the U.S. foster care system. In fact, that word foster care meant nothing to me. I had no idea that right here in South Carolina, 2,600 kids entered the foster care system in 2024. That's an average of 7 kids every day entering foster care. And in 2017, I was one of those kids. Entering foster care for me meant walking into a boys' home with nothing but the clothes on my back. It meant feeling alone and unclaimed. It meant losing the normalcy of being a teenager. I still remember the first night when I realized that no one was coming to save me. Truth is, no one was coming to save me or the 20 other boys that lived there with me. In fact, that statement isn't unique to me. Many kids in foster care feel alone, afraid, and unclaimed. And even if they didn't, the outcomes tell a different story. Every year, 15,000 youth age out of the foster care system. And of that 15,000, the outcomes are terrible. Many of my friends, the boys that I lived with, after aging out of foster care, became early fathers, struggled with mental health and drug addiction. They struggled with the incarceration system. Now, unfortunately, that is not just the experience of the boys that I lived with, but many kids all across the U.S. in foster care. And it begs the question, are we doing enough for kids in foster care? What if I told you that a simple, small act could have a big impact on the lives of these children? Now, when I entered foster care, I was 16, and so true independence was not far from me. In 2 years, I would graduate high school, and I made the decision to go to college. I went to Clemson University for a business degree, and while I was there, I made a few friends. Me and some of these friends one day decided to go study at our business school. It's a great building, 3 floors, great atmosphere, and we were working on these super comfortable couches. While we were working, I fell asleep, and one of my great friends snapped this picture of me. That's now on the internet forever, so you're welcome. When I woke up, my friends were gone, and someone must have placed a flyer next to my head, a flyer for an entrepreneurship program. In this program, they taught us that to build a business, you have to solve a problem. Ideally, a problem that you're passionate about. And I thought, well, I'm passionate about foster care because I lived it, but what problem in foster care needs to be solved? After doing just a little bit of research, I found these crazy statistics about the outcomes for youth like me, most of which I never knew. It eventually dawned on me that most people aren't really aware of foster care. So I set out to prove that there was a real need for awareness. I conducted a survey asking one simple question, one question that I'll ask you right now. What is the color for foster care? Now, I wanted hundreds of responses, and I asked as many people as I possibly could. In fact, I was pretty crazy about asking people. I put this survey in classrooms and dorms. I put this survey in bathrooms, both men and women. You want to know how to really make someone mad? Ask them to fill out a survey while they're taking a poop. That'll do it. I'm just kidding, I never did that. But the results were clear. At this point, I had 150 responses. And do you know what I found? That 90% of the people I surveyed, parents, teachers, students, 90% didn't know that the color is blue. That the color for foster care is blue. In fact, I'm willing to bet that many of you just learned something new. Right now in the U.S., there are more than 300,000 children in foster care. The Carolina Gamecock Stadium, just next door, can host 77,000 fans. If you put every child in foster care into that stadium, You would need 4 full stadiums. Now, I don't know what's crazier. The fact that there's that many Carolina fans, or that so few people know anything about such a large population. I couldn't believe it. How does no one know? Ask anyone the color for breast cancer, and they'll say pink. Even a high school boy who can't remember to change his underwear will tell you that the color is pink. But for foster care, if people don't know the color, how could they possibly know the needs, the ways to help? Something had to be done. So I asked myself, Self, what is a simple and inviting way to bring people into the foster care space? When people are asked or invited to get involved with foster care, they're usually asked to become foster parents. People are told that the only way to make a significant impact is to open your home. However, becoming a foster parent is a huge commitment. And I don't know about you guys, but the only commitment I can commit to is a commitment to no more commitments. And becoming a foster parent is a commitment that most people can't make. So of course, people step back and they never do anything at all. And it's not that they don't care, but that no one showed them a simpler way to get involved. There was no simple or clear path that says, hey, here's a small action that you can take to make a big impact. If people care and the system desperately needs help, then the real problem is awareness, and there's a lack of simple ways to get involved. That gap, that missing bridge between knowing nothing about foster care and getting involved, that's the gap I wanted to close. So how'd I do it? I bet you all are wondering, what's in this box? Well, I'm not Mr. Beast, and no one is winning a new Tesla. What I came up with was a simple blue stuffed bear. Now I know what y'all are thinking. I can't tell who's cuter, the bald guy or the bear. I think we all know the answer to that. I started a nonprofit called Foster the Bear with the stuffed animal meant to raise awareness and give people an accessible way to support foster care. Not complicated, not expensive, not groundbreaking, just a cute guy and a cute bear. Here's what happened. This bear became a bridge. People saw it online and in person. They asked about the color. They learned. They got involved. People bought and donated bears. And in just 3 months, this simple blue bear raised over $3,000, all money that'll be used to send foster youth to college. What? That's a lot of impact from just a blue bear. Now hear me. I am not saying that a simple blue bear will solve all the problems in foster care, but it's a proof of concept. Because of this bear, I realized that sometimes small actions can make a big impact. Sometimes the smallest thing you can do is the most important thing you can do. Most people think changing foster care requires adopting a child, becoming a social worker, giving thousands of dollars, and in some way overextending yourself. And yes, those things matter and they are important, but so do the small things. A conversation, a social media post, giving a few dollars when you can, or being a mentor to kids who feel alone. When we create simple avenues for people to support foster youth, more people show up, more people learn, more kids feel seen. You see, big change doesn't start with more money, more robust policies, and more programs. It starts with people choosing to do one small thing consistently. Just a couple months after I entered foster care, I knew I wanted to join my high school's track team. But I didn't have a car. The boys' home didn't have the resources. I had no way to get to and forth from practice. But a random mom stepped forward. A stranger with 2 kids and her own commitments offered to take me to and from practice. After about a year providing this transportation, her and her family decided to open their home. They became foster parents. They invited me to live with them. completely changing my life. This mom's small action of being my glorified Uber driver made the biggest difference for me. She didn't sign up to bring a teenager into her home. She just agreed to drive me to practice. But that small action made her and her family do more and realize that they could. Maybe you're thinking to yourself, "Self, I don't know anything about foster care. I don't know if this is really for me. I'm not like these other people. I don't know if I have the time to really help." And you know what? Maybe that's all true. But right now, today, on March 14th, 7 kids will enter foster care in South Carolina. Many of them will walk into a boys' home feeling the same way that I once did. But doesn't have to stay that way. Changing their story doesn't require a miracle. It just requires people willing to do something small, to learn about a color, to learn about a month, to show up in one moment and to care in one way. Because when enough small things add up, they create something big enough to change a life. If a simple boubler and an overcommitted mom can do that, then surely you can too. Because sometimes the biggest differences start with one small action. Thank you.